and we know somebody that could bring fire to you, and we wanted to share that with you. So if yesterday wasn't good enough and today's not going to be better, this is going to be awesomeness. So we are so excited to have you, and I'm Ashley McDougall from Virginia Beach. I'm a real agent, obviously, and
Christine Smith from Orlando, Florida. And I know it is literally 7 a.m., but if you have never heard Sharran speak before, you definitely at least should get out your notes app on your phone and just be ready to take like massive notes.
Like really fast. Like he brings it like fire, so you need to have your pen ready.
Absolutely.
And I'm Hannah Peterson out of San Diego, California. Christine, thank you for putting this together. Let's give Christine Ashley a round of applause. And it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. So you know Sharran, but do you know his story? He took TELUS from $340 million to $3.4 billion, sold to Douglas Elliman, but not only that, he is a strategist. He brings the systems, he brings the synergy that we all have in this room coming together in the real estate space. Please help me welcome our friend, mentor, and inspiration, Sharran Srivatsaa.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hannah,
Yeah, killed it. I love it. Thanks for putting it together. Awesome. Morning, folks. Morning. B minus. Good morning. Good morning. Wow. You know, like the speaker training, they tell you, hey, don't walk into a room and say good morning, and then say good morning, and everyone will say, like, it makes you feel better, right? A little bit, just a little bit at least. You guys on your phones, I really appreciate it. Can you guys say hi to Steven? Steven's our creative producer. Steven should have, we have most of our content for today. So Steven will have most of our content for today, and I am happy to give you everything. Cool. Three big promises. Promise number one. There's more knowledge in this room than there is in my head. So it is my job to try and pull it out of you, which means, promise number one, you should be open to sharing a little bit. Would that be cool? Yes. Awesome. Promise number two, I have probably seen almost every business model out there. And so I will be very honest with what I see. If I think your idea sucks, I will tell you. Right? And you're going to tell me, you're going to be okay with me sharing that, but I will be kind. Okay? That's number two. So can I be honest with you?
Yes.
Okay. Number three. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to give you everything. Whatever I have an idea, whatever is called paid content that I only tell CEOs, I'm going to tell you everything. And you're going to promise me that you're going to tell me everything too. Okay. Because we're all here. We made the time to be here bright and early on I don't even know what day it is. On a Wednesday morning. And there's a lot of firepower in this room, and I think that we can mine that today, and it'll be my job to mine that. So you don't have to do anything, just allow me to mine that. Is that cool? Yes. Yes. Awesome. Question for you all, right? Just give me a show of hands. If you believe that your business can either be behind goal, at goal, or ahead of goal. Sort of, yes? So if you feel like you're a little behind, it's okay. If you feel like you're a little behind, awesome. Cool. If you feel like you're somewhat at goal, all right. If you feel like you're ahead, okay, please look around. If you feel like more can be learned looking around on this one. Why do we feel like if you did the same exact poll, right, a year ago, do you think those numbers would have been different, or the hands would have been different? Yes. Why? Because of the market. So we are a lot of times a product of the market, right? Today I want to talk to you about how to disproportionately disconnect from the market. Okay? And the number one thing that allows you to disconnect from the market is having a business model. So my question for you is, if you have a business model, what is Netflix's business model? Okay, awesome. So you get a bunch of people to subscribe, pay $11.99 for the app, right? And they try to make you to never quit, never churn, never exit. And here's what it is. Did you know that there's more videos on Netflix right now? And they don't have to make one new show. There's more videos and more shows on Netflix right now that you can watch for the rest of humanity. But they make new shows every single time. Why? So you don't leave, because novelty is a really powerful idea. Their business model is, hey, subscribe. I'm going to give you this library of stuff, and I'm going to give you new stuff over and over to feel like you have value in the subscription. There's a very tight business model to it. They wake up every morning, they're like, how can I come up with new shows that get Darren to keep paying the $11.99, right? So now there's a very specific business model associated. They know what they know when they wake up in the morning what they're going to do with it, right? My question for you is, when you wake up in the morning, do you know what you're going to do? 10 years ago, it was, have you ever done this business plan stuff? Let me count the number of conversations that I need to have today. Oh, for 40 conversations. That stuff works conceptually, but I'm sorry, this is not 2011, right? This is not 10 years ago. You can count the conversations, but the number of phone calls you have is completely different because you could do the same number in DMs today, right? The world has completely changed, and the sooner we realize that the world has changed, the sooner this will all make sense, because we're still writing one-page business plans that some random person at a summit who's never actually talked to a client before told us what to do. I am dead serious. We actually take advice from someone that has never actually talked to a client before. Like, think about that for a second. Would Michael Jordan take shooting lessons from someone that's never shot a basketball before? Like, there's nothing that bothers me in the real estate industry where someone is actually, like, have a talk to a client at some point. At some point. Like, if someone is teaching you objection handling and they've never actually needed to handle an objection, that's weird. Like, that's weird. And you know what they'll say? Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Don't say you appreciate that. Like, you know, that's the first thing you never say. You know why? Because when someone tells you, oh yeah, Jimmy said he'd do it for 2%, oh yeah, I can appreciate that. You don't appreciate that Jimmy can do it for 2%. But you say, shit, because somebody from stage told you to do that. Right? Why? Because our business models are warped, and so we actually only listen to simple tactics that are thrown at us, and we keep trying to implement tactics, and then we keep getting not dislocated with the market. We're so tight to the market. The problem is, when we keep listening to the hot thing, we get connected to the market. And I want us to find a way so that your business model can be dislocated with the market and you can win every single time. Good so far? Who can give me like and this is safe space maybe? Safe space? Who can give me a sense of their business model? Do all of us try to sell at some point?
Yes.
It's just okay. We got a rush share model, so I get it. You know, you got a business to build as well. But we're talking to clients. Would that be fair? Just nod or something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Give me a business model that you have in mind. Just keep it as simple as possible. Hey, I do this, I do that, I get paid. Like, what is your business model?
I work with probate properties and seniors to downsize.
Okay.
I'm 60. I'm not building a big team, but I'm building a team behind me. So my business model is a little different now than it was, say, 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I've shifted what I'm trying to do so that I have more time with my family and I'm making more money.
Awesome. So, pretty tight. Do you all know, hey, here's the avatar that I serve. Here's my value that I bring to serve to them. And here's how the back end's going to work. Yes? Good?
Yep.
Okay, let's, I can help you tighten that, right?
I'd love
But
to
that was,
tighten that.
that was very good. No, but the goal of tightening it is not for you to say it better, but for you to think it better.
Yeah.
Right? So when you wake up in the morning, you know, hey, I've got 14 things to do. Which of these 14 should I do or not do? That allows me to fuel the model. Right? And I'll actually draw a picture for you. Anyone else? Okay, wow.
We have to focus on referrals from our sphere and past clients. We just smother them with client events all year throughout.
Yeah, awesome. So the Lana's business model is, hey, we're gonna love on our clients. We're an extreme SOI strategy, and that drives the entire business. Good? Helpful? Okay, awesome. Great.
I create video content. People reach out to me, become clients. I sell homes.
Okay, awesome. So Craig, you said it was very specific. I do this, because of that this happens, and because of that something happens after that. Right? Very cool. Two more. Come on. Sir.
I've kind of adapted my business into like a showing assistant model.
Awesome.
Where I had a team of 13 staff and agents, and now I have 2. But it allows me not to have to show buyers. I've got a business manager that's my showing assistant that does all the showings for me. Also allows me to essentially not even be local to my market. I can be anywhere in the country, talking to anyone, meeting anyone I want, and still being able to operate both listings and, because she's licensed, both listings and buyers.
Awesome. Super good. So you got a good sense of the model, right? promise number 2 that I made was I would give you some suggestions and be as kind as possible. Remember that? How many of you have the showing model? Showing system? Okay. My one suggestion would be to just flip the language around it. It is a showing specialist, not a showing assistant. Right? It totally edifies and elevates them, especially when they're part of a client and they feel like they do that job very well and they're not second to you. So it's a really good specialized job. So I would just switch language from, I would offer to consider switching language from assistant to specialist.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good? Helpful? All right. You guys come on in. All right. Can I draw you a way to think about your model? Right? There are 3 big pieces to the puzzle that every single business model has. Okay? The first one, y'all can see? Y'all can see, right? Okay. The first one is traffic. Traffic is filling the funnel, getting eyeballs on your stuff. Right? So Craig's model for traffic is I'm going to do video, people are going to see my stuff, and something's going to happen after. I'll talk about how you get traffic in a second. The idea of traffic is to do one thing, is to fill the funnel. If we don't have people to talk to in a conceptual way, nothing's going to happen. Right? Okay. Number 2, there needs to be systems. Here's the interesting part. Systems are to get appointments. Having a referral-based business is a system. If I walk into a real estate conference and say, how many of you get, where does all your business come from? Raise your hand if you get business from SOI and referrals. Right? Keep your hands up. How many of you can actually have a system that you can talk to me about that generates referrals? Take a look, right? Which is fascinating. But Lana's team does. Here's the interesting part. It's fascinating for us where 80% of our business comes from SOI referral-based business, but we have no system because Sharran doesn't wake up in the morning thinking about giving Craig a referral, right? Sharran doesn't wake up and say, oh, how do I give Craig a referral today? That's not what I wake up and do, but our job is to plant that. That's why Lana's team does events, because the more events they plant, the more buoys they plant. More buoys planted create more top of mind, create more, it's a system around it, right? So systems generate appointments and skills to get paid. Those are the 3 things. I'm going to show you how to diagnose your business right away. I'm not even done. So please let me continue doing this, okay? If you learn nothing but this, I've built this over the last 10 years. If you learn nothing but this today, it'll help you for one big reason. It'll help you self-diagnose your business. So what are the 3 ways or many ways to drive traffic to your business? How do you drive traffic? Jason, how do you drive traffic?
Web leads.
Okay, web leads, awesome. How else do you drive traffic?
Instagram, social.
Instagram, social, good. How else? Y'all should be masters at this because mailers, awesome.
Good service.
Service, okay. Just how do you get more stuff into the funnel?
Billboards.
Conversations, okay. What else?
Open houses.
Open houses, good.
Networking.
Networking,
Door knocking.
door knocking,
My sphere of influence.
sphere. Okay. So there's 3 ways to generate traffic. Okay. Way number 1 is organic, which what I mean by this is kind of what you do. I do something. Craig makes a video. That's organic, right? Good so far. Number 2 is paid. Paid web leads. You write a check, you get leads, Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever, right? 3rd is you do some activities. You door knock, you door drop, you do events, you do JVs with partners. Literally, there is nothing else. But I will tell you this. If you are only one of many, you will be more correlated to the market. So you want to have a portfolio of traffic, right? So how many of you feel a little heavy, like organic? How many of you generate leads organically? Okay, awesome. How many of you generate paid stuff? Awesome. How many of you do activities? Okay, so a little bit of everything, which is great. If you had to, I'll go back and show you. Whenever you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I think I need more leads in my business. Have you guys heard that? Anytime you talk to a team member, I will tell you this. They think that leads are the answer. Okay? Whenever someone tells you, from this day forward, whenever someone tells you, I need more leads in my business, you say, great. How are you generating leads right now? Is it organic? Tell me what you're doing. Is it paid? Tell me what you're doing. Is it activities? Tell me what you're doing, right? Then what you can do is you can upgrade each one of them. Because most people have a B- activity in one of those that you can just turn on, change, upgrade. You don't need an entirely new lead source. You just need to upgrade what you already have. So, good so far on how to think about the world? Cool. Systems. If I have all of these, if I have leads coming in, I'm filling the funnel, I need systems to generate appointments, right? I'm going to give you a concept right now. The first thing, have you guys heard of 10 Days of Pain?
No.
Do you want to put your grandma through 10 days of pain? Like, how can we possibly tell people we have a 10 days of pain gauntlet series where we're going to hammer people through, and if they don't, like, buy or die. Like, let's have a little bit more loving, caring thing for our people. Like, this is crazy, right? So let me give you a phrase, and the phrase is lifetime nurture. Lifetime nurture. If you actually said, you know what? I opted into a form on Darren's site. Darren's like, hey man, I don't know this guy. I don't know when he may buy or sell, but I am going to nurture this person forever, right? Like he was my client already. It is interesting how we will try to treat our prospects differently than our clients, because that, if you think about it, that's weird. Just assume they're your client. Whatever you would do with your client, do with your prospect. After they're your client, by the way, have you guys heard this phrase, past client? They're not dead. That's weird, right? Like Darren represented me. I'm his client, right? I'm his client. So my phrasing around this would be, I thought for a lot about it. Personal client is better than past client, okay? Because you can say PC, but client is just client. Past client, next time you say past client, you're like, oh shit, Sharran thinks he's dead. But your clients are not past, right? They're today. They're your clients forever. So you got to treat all your prospects like they're your clients. Send them everything that you would send your clients. Lana doesn't just do events for her clients and her team. They do events for everybody in their network, right? Because your best clients come from your best clients. Your best clients come from your best clients. And the more you treat everybody like your best client, the more clients you will get. So just assume your prospects are already your best clients. Right? Lifetime nurture. Well, I'll go into what that is in a second, all right? Number 2, you need some kind of appointment engine. Some kind of appointment engine, meaning, Mr. Tide over there, right? He's a total stud, right? He needs to wake up in the morning. And needs to have appointments on his calendar. Whether he's generating it, whether a team's generating it, whether automation's generating it. Because I will tell you, if you have to force yourself to be like, wake up in the morning, no appointments, and you freak out, you're in a really bad place, right? There needs to be a way you have more appointments. I will actually tell you, the reason why many of us get irritated that we're taking non-qualified appointments is because we don't have enough appointments. If you had 30 appointments a week, and 10 of them were not qualified, and that's all you did was get appointments, you would be totally okay with it. Because you know what? You are so good that you would take a non-qualified appointment and you would get a referral from it. You would get something else out of it. And instead, we get on the phone and we ask 500 qualifying questions of somebody. Some dude called you. Do you understand how hard that is? Let me give you a story. My wife, right? My wife. She's the smartest, most sweetest person in my life, right? She's amazing. She loves this little Thai restaurant. Loves this Thai restaurant. Her favorite restaurant in the entire world. But you can't order online. Okay? You can't order online. My wife would rather order online at a restaurant she doesn't love than actually call the Thai restaurant. Right? And let me tell you why. Because nobody wants to call anybody these days. So your call to action of call me is dumb. Don't do it. You know why? It is so much friction. So much friction. If my wife, I know it's a sample of one, but how many of you have like, I really don't want to call and cancel my dentist appointment? Do not lie. How many times have you guys done that? Oh, there's a reason for this, right? But if you got a text message saying, please confirm your appointment, you're like, confirm, done, right? because you've reduced friction. The world is very different these days, right? My point with the point with the call is we've got to realize that there's a lot of friction-oriented stuff and non-friction oriented stuff. And so when somebody calls us, like, hey, I'm checking in on this listing that you have on 123 Main Street, whatever. When someone calls us, stop qualifying, right? Someone called you. Do you know how hard that is? Take the call. Be like, literally, you should be like, hey, when would you like to go see it? That's it, right? And you could deal with Zillow-oriented leads. Like, that's ALM at its best, right? Hey, what questions do you have and when would you like to go see it? And I can take you through some scripting, but super, super important because we, 18 years ago, were taught to qualify every call that came in. You can softly qualify to, if they don't sound like an asshole, it's okay. Just take the call, right? Because that person calling is super high friction. Okay, that's number 2 is the appointment engine. We need some way of setting appointments. How many of you have an ISA or someone calling on your behalf? All right, about half of us? Super cool, awesome. Last one. This, I'm gonna call this a referral machine. Please know that no one is gonna show up, no one's gonna wake up in the morning and say, how do I send Mr. Cassidy some referrals today? Like, nobody is waking up in your world thinking how to send you business today. I am telling you right now. Nobody is. Well, I am, because he's a stud. But you know that, right? Don't assume that somebody is. So our job is, just like Lana's doing, is to plant these buoys, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we need to know, we need to have some kind of referral machine, otherwise this gets very difficult very quickly, right? So those are the ways where we actually get appointments. Good so far?
Yep.
Okay, here's how you get skills. Skills get you paid. Skills get you paid. 3 parts on the skills that are super important. First one, you need this is probably the most important. If you actually did this, it gets really good. You need a really smooth sales process. So if you work with Beth, she will tell you that you can't just walk into an appointment and like figure it out with the yellow notepad, right? You can't do that. If you're going on a buyer consult, there's a process. If you're going on a listing appointment, there's a process. If you're going on an investor call, there's a process. If you're taking a sign call, there's a process. You should instantly kick into that. It's not like, oh, I'm really good, I'll figure it out. No, there's a process, right? And there's a smooth, it's not smooth sales, it's a smooth sales process. We run our lives because we are naturally charismatic. That's why we got into business. Oh, I love people. I'm really good at this. I can vibe with you. I can feel. 90% of agents are just naturally charismatic. That's why they have a capped business, and they're completely correlated to the market. For you not to be correlated to the market, you need to have a good sales process. Good so far? Okay. The next one is a smooth onboarding. Smooth onboarding. It is amazing to me. What is the most important day in the relationship with a client? Day 1, day 0. The day they sign a contract, their resistance, their feelings, their fears are at an all-time high. You think they're like, oh my gosh, I just hired Kenny. Like, Kenny's like, Sharran just picked me, I'm good. No, I'm like, did I make the right choice? Is my house priced the right way? Like, I'm full of questions. I'm full of uncertainty. And I'm freaking out because at that point, I have to respond to the other agents that I did not hire. They're hammering me with questions. You know that, right? You know that when they've chosen you, they've said yes, you've signed the agreement, they're turning around and they have to tell everybody else that they're not working with them anymore. Like, the average client does not know how to do that. It freaks them out. And because of that, it makes them not sure whether they hired Kenny was the right thing to do or not. So the most important thing to do is those first 24 hours to create this insane feeling of safety. What is the one thing that you can do to create an insane feeling of safety?
Communication, constant communication.
Very good. What about the communication?
Help them to like really clearly understand what to expect. And also I like the idea of like a little gift or a card or something to just like make the feeling.
Good, awesome. So that's the charisma in you coming out. This is me telling you that it'd be very good. I would stay with that. But you said something which is super powerful. So hold on to that point. Mr. Tyler, you got a point.
Being predictable.
Very good. So if you combine both, the number one thing to increase safety, reduce stress, reduce anxiety is this one thing. Please remember this phrase. They just need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't need to know what happens in 3 months. They just need to know what happens next. Because if they know what happens next, they're good. And literally you tell your client, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is awesome. My team and I are going to do this. Here's what happens next. You just tell them what happens next. Instantly, stress goes down. Instantly. Right? Anytime you feel stress, you just tell them what happens next. Anytime you feel there's an event in the transaction, hey, I just signed a listing agreement. Oh, we just went under contract. We just got the home went live. Here's what happens next. Every time you do here's what happens next, they feel better. And you know what that is? That is a built-in referral buoy. Because what's going to happen is they're going to go out and be like, oh my God, they're going to have dinner, lunch with their friends, and the friends are going to be like, hey, you know, Calgary market's like weird. And then, but we listed with Darren. He just called me this morning. He just told me exactly what was going to happen in the next 3 days. Oh my gosh, really? My agent never tells me that. So what they tell you is not how's it going, we price on the market, we'll see if we get offers. Otherwise, you know what the client's doing? The client's speculating on what they think the process should be, as opposed to telling everybody on what you told them the process is. And as soon as you tell them what happens next, they calm down. The only time you see anxiety rise in a client relationship is when they don't know what happens next. That is the only time. Your listing, if it's not selling and it's going to expire, they just don't know what happens next. You're like, oh my gosh, this listing contract is expiring. You know they have no idea, right? They have no clue. They don't even know what an expired listing is. But if you tell them what happens next, it calms down. They're like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I know we had a 6-month term to do this. We did this your way. Let's put together a plan for the next 6 months so we can get you an offer that you want, or the price that you want, or the terms that you want. Like, I can go all day on this, but there's a reason. Because you tell them what happens next. Good? Helpful? All right, last part is you need some kind of like delightful delivery, right? Meaning you just have to at least deliver on what you said you were going to do, right? If you tell them what you said if you do what you said you were going to do, it's really easy. So those are the pieces. So let's do a little exercise. Okay, let's do an exercise. We're going to do a red, yellow, or green. So make it really simple. You're going to tell me, I'm going to go through each one of these, and you're going to tell me in your business if it's a red, meaning it kind of needs work, if it's a yellow, meaning it's all right, and if it's a green, meaning superpower. Is that cool? And so I have a red. I'm colorblind, by the way, so this is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. I think this is this orange? Yes. Orange. Okay. It works. Cool. So, organic. In your business, and I'll do a consensus of the room. Organically generating leads, is it a red, yellow? So if it's a red, give me a hand raise. Yellow. Green. Cool. So this is a green. Awesome. Put a green there. Paid ads. Red. Red. Awesome. Yellow. Cool. Green. Okay, so we're like an orange. Okay, good. Activities, door knocks, door drops, events, things that you do, make cold calls, have your assistant call, etc. Red. Okay, so could do better. Yellow. Green. So a lot of us do activities. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna do a little green here. Yeah. What are you guys laughing about? Everybody's, that's our jam, right? That's good. Okay, cool. Lifetime nurture. If someone enters your database, correct, someone signs up for one of your market update stuff, and you nurture them for life. Yes. So red on lifetime nurture, meaning it could probably get better. Okay, yellow, meaning it's okay, maybe some upgrades. Green, superpower. Amazing. So I'll say as a group, we're roughly like an orange.
That must be mine.
Orange? Good. Okay. Appointment engine. Here is a green. You wake up in the morning, and there are appointments on your calendar. That would be a green. By the way, we should probably talk about that. Every single one of us, that is a requirement. Because the longer it goes where you have to generate, like you wake up and you have to like generate the appointments and you stress out, the more stress and anxiety it is for you. And we live in a time, Kenny, how many ISAs do you have on the team? 5. Their job is to wake up, their job is to set appointments every single day. So the agents just wake up and they just see full calendars. right? That forces all of us to not worry about how to get the appointment, but to raise our skills on what to say on the appointment, right? Because now you've split that piece up. Okay? Red on appointments, red on appointment engine. Yellow, is it kind of sort of working? Okay, green, I got superpower. Okay, so I'd say this is like we could do better on this one, right? Cool, awesome. A referral machine, meaning you have systems in place or something that you do that you wake up in the morning and like clients think of you and they think of you for a reason that you generated, not just because Jason's a good dude. That too, right? So red on referral, yellow, okay, green superpower. Okay, awesome. So we're probably like on the group a little orange there. Cool. Smooth sales process. Here's what mastery is. Okay? Imagine you're going on a listing appointment against me. Okay? If you and I are if they may choose you or may choose me, and it's parity, you are agreeing. I'm just assuming that you know how good I am at listing appointments.
We do.
I just think it's demo. How many of you have ever did any of you use parts of my listing presentation by any chance? Any of you? Like 3 of us? Okay, good. Awesome. Good. I'm happy to give you guys some. So that you walk into a listing appointment and you crush it every single time, really 80% success rate. Right? By the way, if you're how many of you are closing 80% of your listing appointments?
Oh.
You're not going on enough appointments. Right? How many of you know Eileen Rivera? Eileen Rivera is a great coach agent in Long Beach, and she and I were talking. I was doing this with her business. I told Eileen, she's like, oh, I close about 95% of my listing appointments. And the team was like, oh yeah. I'm like, you're not going on enough appointments. We pat ourselves on the back, saying we're so good at this stuff. You're leaving so much money on the table because you're not going on enough appointments. This is decaf. I can't even believe I can stuttering with decaf, right? Anytime you feel like, I'd say if you're clipping 50% appointment conversion rate, optimize for that. If you're clipping better than 50% appointment conversion rate, that means you're not going on appointments. If you're below 50% on the conversion rate, that just means you need to up your skills. That's all it is. Man.
How many appointments would you consider enough appointments weekly? How many a day would be optimal for you?
That's a hard question. I'll answer it differently. How many can you go on an appointment? How many clients can you service at any given time?
Just one at a time. Well, talking in front of?
No. If you got the business.
I probably could do 10 to 15 a month.
Yeah. And say you're converting 50%,
Okay.
you should be going on one a day.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So super simple. I don't overthink this, right? Because if you can service 15 at any given time, say you get 1 out of 2 appointments, you should be going on 30 appointments a month. That will give you 15 people to service, right?
So it's just math. It just depends on
Yeah.
the person and how much business.
Yeah, or not. And then if you're like, wait a minute, I think I can take on more capacity, or the team's gotten bigger, or our listing presentation system's better, I can take on more people. Awesome, go on more appointments.
Okay.
Otherwise, what's going to happen is you will very unintentionally self-sabotage your appointments. You're like, man, I'm going to go on this appointment. I already have 9 listing. I have 4 listing launches to do next week. I won't have a break in open houses for the next 4 weeks because all my team is busy and I can't even get a sitter. Sharran's being unreasonable with his price anyway. Yeah, I'll just let him be and I'll take. That's how our brain will work. Without how many of you are has that happened to you before? 100. And nobody will talk about it because they're like, the reason is, as soon as we feel like our systems are not in place, we don't feel like we have infinite scale, right? So knowing if you bump up against 30 appointments a month, use that as a goal, right? Hey, I need to go on 1 appointment a day or 4 a week or 5 a week. If you're not hitting that, now you start to know, hey, I need to up my activity to get more appointments.
Every now and then you just get that high maintenance client too that knocks you down 5 people.
So that is correct.
So much
That is correct. So in our world, from a salesperson, entrepreneur's perspective, let me give you a phrase. It's called 80% equals 100%. You got to at least leave 20% of capacity. Because there is no way, if you're jam-packed, there's no way to think, there's no way to decompress, there's no way to have that kind of high-maintenance client go deeper with you. Literally, I work on 4-day work weeks for a reason, and I don't work Fridays. Meaning I don't go in the office Fridays. for a reason. But do you know that recently I have to go in because I have that buffer day and I had to start to roll and catch up. If I didn't have that, that would have rolled to a Saturday and a Sunday. And then how many of you suddenly take a Wednesday morning off? I'm sorry, like taking Wednesday morning off is dumb. It's fine, but you want the option, you know, if that's how your schedule is built, it's okay. But you don't take the time off when you can, you take the time off when it's convenient for your life. Otherwise, your life is now in service of your business, as opposed to the business being in service of your life. Now, if it's difficult, you're getting started, I understand you want to get to that at some point, but you will get very burned out very quickly if you never take like a weekend day off. Because the rest of society has it, and it will, unless you're a completely introverted, unsocial animal, it'll be very hard on you. Very, very hard. Okay, good so far?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Regular green, smooth sales.
Thank you. See the operator here. Like the smooth sales. You are awesome. Like you have an awesome listing presentation and awesome buyer presentation, awesome investor presentation. If you have all three of those that you feel good about, you're a green. Okay? Everything else red and yellow. So red on sales process. Yellow. All you guys are humble. I appreciate that. Green, feeling really good. Okay, good. Awesome. So I'll say we are a orange on the smooth sales process. Onboarding. Your day 0 and day 1 of your client is buttoned up. You know exactly what's going on. Do not lie. Do not lie. All right. Red on onboarding. Needs a little work. Yellow on onboarding. Okay. Green on onboarding. Okay, awesome. So we're in orange. So you can make some upgrades here, which is pretty good. I'll actually give you an onboarding close, which I think will be super helpful to you. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you know the best way to get smooth onboarding is at the listing appointment? Okay. The best thing that you can do at a listing appointment at the end of the appointment is a calendar close. You guys have ever done a calendar close? Yeah. The calendar close, I can actually go through the calendar close with you in a second, but you want to frame the onboarding as a part of the listing appointment. Otherwise, you're like, now that we have agreed to do this, let me tell you what happens next. Too complex. But if they actually say yes to your what happens next, that's why they say yes to working with you. It's a really good flip. We think the sale is in I got to get them to say yes and then tell them what I'm going to do. No, you just tell them what you're going to do and they say yes because of that. Right? I'll go through the calendar close for you in a second. I would say the 9 out of 10 times you will win with the calendar close better than you will win with almost any other close. 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times. Right? And if you learn nothing else this morning, if I can just go through the calendar close, that alone will help you win almost every appointment. How many of you actively use a calendar close in your appointments? All right, fine. Yeah, 5, 6 of us. The ballers. Yeah, which is good. The smooth delivery. Last part about the delivery. I will tell you, how many of you like completely irritated and frustrated with ongoing client communication? Do not lie. In this market, is that market longer? You're like, I have no update for you. Right? What's going on, Darren? Same as what I told you 3 minutes ago. Like, there's no real update. What do you do in a client update conversation? This is happening, right? And I tell you, the interesting part is, this is the normal market. We were just spoiled or irritated, if you think about it, in the last 2 years. Like, Raquel's been coaching her clients on this for the last 2 years, where you didn't have to do client communication. Client was under contract in 6 days. Now you actually have to do what you normally do. So it's freaking us out, relatively speaking. Right? But here's the crazy part. I will give you one phrase. There is, as long as we make sure that the client hears from us before they ask for an update, you have already won.
Yeah. Right.
Okay? But here's the even crazier part. There is no reason you tell the client never to ask for updates. I'm telling you, you can tell the client never to ask for updates. You say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, there's 2 ways I do updates. Meaning, don't ask me for updates. I'm dead serious, right? Because you set the rules. Mr. and Mrs. Client, there's 2 ways that we do updates for all our private clients. Number 1, every Friday we do a summary. I'm making a summary. Every Friday we do a summary of everything that happened that week and everything that's going to happen the week ahead. We call this the review preview. Sharran has a review preview. He's amazing. It doesn't matter, just make it up, right? So now they know on Friday that they're going to get a review preview, email, voice memo, whatever from me. And you're like, number 2, if there's anything significant happens between that time, I will be the first to let you know. That's it. Right? That means don't bother. I will just let you know. So now they're thinking, wait a minute. Sharran's going to give me a review preview on Friday. Or if something happens, he'll let me know. Otherwise, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? The reason, here's what we tell people. Oh my gosh. Just, I'm available for you 24/7. Do not, at some point in our careers, we think that if we tell our clients that we will win based on accessibility and service, we think it's better. How many of you have done that at some point? Right? I was in a $6.5 million listing appointment. I'm sitting there with this agent. This is the 3rd appointment with a venture capitalist, who was my friend. Finally, he's like, hey, it's down to you and some other person. And he asked this lady, he's like, so tell me like the one thing that makes you different. One thing, right? I am not joking. She pulls out her phone and she goes, well, I carry this with me all the time. Yeah. I went pale. Like, I mean, my tan disappeared. It was amazing. It was crazy. I was like, how do you possibly see that? And this is the reason we work really hard. We're like, I have great clients. And then you're like so mad that your clients call you all the time because you let them. Yeah. I'm telling you, your clients don't want to call you. They just want the result that you promised them and you told them what happens next. You can actually have 15 clients at a given time and have a great life because all you know on Friday between 10 and noon, you have to do an update, email, voicemail, whatever, which is way easier because you know you're going to do it. And then anything that comes up live, you just give them text, voicemail, whatever. I actually tell my clients, hey, Mrs. Client, the last thing you want is a call from me. In fact, if you get a call from me or I get a call from you, I will think that there's something really urgent and something really broken. So if I call you unannounced, please answer. If you call me, I'm going to say, hey, Kenny, what's wrong? Just like I tell my wife. I'm dead serious. Like my wife and I, if you check, we've never, we don't call each other. But if I call her, she'll be like, are you okay? Like that is the call. Because now you're reducing stress. You're telling them, hey, you're giving them expectations on how to work. You think you want being available, but they don't want to. They just want the result of working with you. Just set the rules. Right? Make it. You will be able to handle significantly more clients with significantly happier clients with less stress, more delivery if you just did that. So get on a cadence. Just tell them. How many of you just that alone, like a switch around that, you may consider using in some way? Okay, cool. Just save your this extended days on market is not changing for a little bit. Would you agree? So just get in the case. The other cool part is if you can actually hire some part-time help, VA, whatever, have your team member start to do their review preview, right? And here's the best part. So let's say I was Ashley's client, right? And let's say Jimmy was our VA. Jimmy would actually do the review preview. Jimmy would be like, hey, Ashley, wanted to give you an update on Sharran and Niti's listing on 123 Main Street. Let me tell you what happened this week. We had this many impressions, we did this many ads, we sent out this many emails, we had these 2 appointments with these 3 requests, blah, blah. Coming up for this weekend and next week is 1, 2, 3. We have an open house, broker preview, etc. And we're going to do an event. Could you please forward this to Sharran Niti and let me know if I can help? She sends that video or audio or email to Ashley as the assistant. And Ashley hits forward to me. That's how it should be. If she sent it to me, I'd be like, oh, I got relegated to the listing, the listing coordinator. You can do that. That's okay, right? But it's really powerful when it shows that a team member, a specialist, is working on my account and Ashley's playing point. Now I also know that she's aware. The thing that bothers most people is not that the listing coordinator communicates with them. That's not what they're bothered by. They're bothered by the fact that the listing coordinator is communicating with them and Ashley has no idea. That's what they're bothered by. And even if the listing coordinator is communicating with them and Ashley is CC'd, they're like, well, Ashley and the client are getting communication at the same time. has she had any input in the strategy? That's what freaks them out, right? But when that's sent to Ashley and Ashley hits forward saying, Sharran looks good, I'll keep you updated on what happens next week, I'm like, oh, she reviewed the team strategy, I feel better. Small things allow you to have significantly different progress in someone's mind, right? So it is called the authority frame. The authority frame is when you get the team member sends it to Ashley, Ashley sends it to me, so it frames her as the authority, right? For example, I would call and I'd be like, hey, say I was calling around a listing that Darren has. I'd be like, hey, this is Sharran. I'm calling on behalf of Darren Langell at Real right here in Calgary, and Darren asked me to give you a call because. Two big parts of the puzzle, right? Number one, I am calling on behalf of Darren. Number two, Darren asked me to give you a call because. That is Darren's authority frame. Like, he's the boss. It makes you look so big and it makes you look great. That's what you want. Now, if you call, it's okay, but I would highly recommend that you have someone else call on your behalf, even if you're calling on each other's behalf. I'm dead serious. It's super, super powerful, right? Because now when you have the authority frame, no one hangs up on an authority frame, right? Because now what they're doing is they're punishing the messenger. Because if someone said, well, screw you, and hangs up, they won't do that. Because, hey, this guy's poor guy. He's calling on behalf of his boss. They can't. That would be a rude thing to do. So no one will hang up on an authority frame, right? That is why getting like a part-time ISA to have this, literally, this is a script. Hey, this is Sharran calling from Darren's office right here in Calgary. Darren asked me to give you a call because whatever the script after. If you have a part-time ISA calling 10 hours a week, just that, your business will skyrocket, your brand will skyrocket, and you never have to have the shitty calls with people hang up on you. Right? Because there's no authority frame. That's why. The problem is there's no authority frame. So if we think that, oh my gosh, I worked really hard, I pounded up 200 calls today, you're missing the point. Like, it is the most inefficient thing to do. That's why you should at least get a 10-hour VA or someone calling on your behalf. Darren, did you have a question? Okay. Good? Helpful? Okay. Last one, delivery. When a client goes through a transaction with you, they feel like they know at all times what happens next. That is a superpower. That's the green. If they're like, you keep them updated during the process and feels okay, that's a yellow. As soon as they come on, you have a lot of clients and you're like, I wish I had better system. That's a red. Okay? So delivery, red, yellow, green. Okay, well, you guys are good. That's awesome. So this is like a yellow-green combo. Do a little Venn diagram for you. This will be kind of fun. Did I actually say Venn diagram? That's good. Venn diagram. You guys didn't get that. All right. As you look at this, when you think about your business, do you instantly see a hole? You're like, hey, I can upgrade that one piece and instantly do better. So before I would love to do the calendar close with you. When you see this, one, is it like, okay, that makes me feel better that it's not 4 million things that I have to do in my business. It gives you a better framework overall. So what can you give me some feedback on what stuck out for you as you saw that? Just raise your hand saying, hey, that was interesting. Yeah, right.
I'm really good at the organic stuff with traffic, not so good with paid and activities.
Yeah.
And that yeah, those are definitely areas for me.
Awesome. So how many of you are doing organic stuff, especially organic video, right? Dan and Craig and I were talking about this. Easiest way to move from organic to paid. Look at your last 14 days. Figure out the piece of content from the last 14 days that actually worked better than everything else. Put a little money behind that. That's it. The audience already told you that they like that one thing from the last 2 weeks. Just put a little money. When I say a little money, I mean little, like $5, right? Because the number of views that you're going to get paid with that is significantly more because the people that already see it like it. So even the paid stuff is going to do better. Right? That's the point. So the fastest switch between organic and paid, if you're doing, people doing videos on their feeds often, right? If you're doing videos on your feed, and if you're not doing it, that's fine too. If you're doing videos on your feed, literally, Look back 14 days, see which one performed the best, put a little money behind it around your geographical market. You just do that alone and do nothing else. You automatically win because no matter what, you get fame based on that because everyone's told you that they like that video already. Easiest way to start moving from organic to paid. Otherwise, we're working really hard on the organic, right? So if you think about it, organic is the cheapest, paid is the most expensive, but like what was the fastest? Activities are the most efficient, right? Cheapest meaning you don't have to spend a lot, but you have to spend a lot of time. Paid is fast, you get something right away. And activities being efficient are, hey, I'm going to go do 2 events, and I know I'm going to get some leads from it. That's why a portfolio of that stuff is important. But organic alone is hard. You have to transfer out of it at some point, or add another channel. Yeah, good, awesome. What else came to mind when you saw it? Ashley?
For me, it's actually because I think everybody in this room is a rock star, so seeing the areas of growth for them gives me an idea of how I can be a rock star in my marketplace. Because everything yellow is what these high-level agents are struggling with. So if I make those yellows green, I'm going to kill my market.
100%. Yeah. And the way we think about stuff is like, how can I do an upgrade? Right? You're not trying to go from red to green. You're trying to go from red to yellow, yellow to green. So there's a lot of times only 1 or 2 things that take you there. Like Craig, this year, all you did was get to a system where you're like, at the end of the week, I look at the last 14 videos. Whichever performed better, I put some money behind it. And that's all you did. You win. That's the biggest upgrade you can make because you already spent all the effort creating good content.
That's huge.
Right? Yeah. What else? 2 more. And what else came up? And I'll do the crowd.
I'm a blogger.
Yeah.
And I also do YouTube and short form video.
Yeah.
I like media.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my analytics for my blog, and so I'm going to put some money behind the ones in particular. I'm in South Florida. People are looking to move there, and people are looking at how to sell my house, 7 tips. So now I'm just gonna put some money behind it.
Yeah. Especially if someone's you're already seeing blog analytics where that's lifted.
Yeah.
Whatever's working, put some money behind what's working.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love
Because
it.
we don't want to put some money behind the content that we think is great.
Yeah.
Like how egotistic.
And I have
right?
accompanying videos to go that are in the blogs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. Super good job.
Perfect.
All right. 2 more.
The appointment system, just getting somebody in there, filling up your calendar so you're not trying to do that.
Dude, I will tell you, it's so good. So my friends run this VA company called Assistantly, and assistantly.com. You can if you ever go on there, I don't get any kickbacks or anything. If you go on there, just tell them Sharran sent you, right? They have a 10-hour VA, and I love that the most because I actually had them create this for a couple of our friends, and that way you can dip your toe in the water. I'm like, hey, this person just calls 2 hours a day for 5 days, and literally ask them, hey, can you call with Sharran scripts? So they already have my stuff. So literally you can get up and running with my stuff. You don't have to do anything, right? You can change it if you want. Mine's better, but you can change it. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I just had to do that. No, but totally, you can change, but at least get them up and running, right? Because it's super simple. Hey, this is X calling on behalf of Y. Wanted to see if you could do because that's the same thing. I would say every single one of us, if you're in this business, you should have at least one person for 10 hours a week calling on your behalf. Especially like your dead leads, leads that are unresponsive, leads that don't open your emails, all of them. Someone should be calling them. There's zero reason otherwise. Heck, even around like stuff that you've sold, have someone else call it. Right? Otherwise, you're having to do all the work. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Oh, I just had a question. Do you have like a reference for virtual assistants? Because I know there's a few online.
Yeah.
Is there any specific
Yeah,
ones you
so
recommend?
so the company that I work with is called Assistantly, Assistantly. And then when you book an appointment, just tell them, hey, I talked to Sharran and I know you have a service, and then they'll give you. So Assistantly, and they have I like it because they have a 10-hour VA as opposed to saying, hey, I need to spend $1,800 a month. You can just get not even a part-time, half-time. You can get a 1/4 time.
I was going to ask that as a second question, but I wasn't sure if you were going to answer.
Yeah. So like, and I like that only because if that person is starting to crush it for you, then just grow them.
Yeah.
Hey, go from 10 hours to part-time, go from part-time to full-time. You don't need to start at full-time.
Right.
right? Just start at 10 hours because that also gets you the perspective of working with somebody. If they're not working, you're like, maybe I need to change the script, maybe I need to role play with this person. So you'll get in a little bit of a training mode, and you won't be like, oh my gosh, she didn't book any appointment today. Crap, I lost a lot of money. It's not that way. So the 10 hours also makes it much more palatable to enter this, right?
Yeah, because there's some companies that their minimum's 20.
Right.
I was trying to find, so that's what I was paying
That-
before I joined the group.
Yeah. So
Like,
10
yeah,
hours
10
is
is very reasonable
Yeah.
versus 20.
right.
So, okay.
Yeah.
This is-
I would highly suggest getting 10 hours.
Okay.
Cool. That helpful?
Yeah.
Awesome. One more. What else was something that kicked up for you, or you're like, okay, I may work on that?
I have one more.
Yeah, please do.
I feel like we do pretty well with that. One of our issues is getting our team to perform everything at the same level that we do, with the delivery and the communication and the presentation and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Beth, you may have to share on this one. So, how many of you have teams? Teams? Your team, on average, so this is average, on average, your team will perform at 70% of your capability. Right? So, on a scale of 10, if you are a 7, they are a 3. Now, I'm making up math here, but something related to, that's nerd squared, right? Something related to that. So it is our job to we need to get mastery in the things that we really need to get mastery on. So if we want our teams to get better at a listing presentation, our listing presentation needs to be on point, right? And that you're on a mad dash to mastery on that, because when the team starts to see, oh my gosh, like Sharran is relentless, wants to get better at that. He took Darren's course and like he came back and said, oh, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add that. The team's like, he's good and he's getting better every day. I gotta up my limit. So if you think about it from the fact, if you're not okay with the team being at 7 out of 10, that means we need to get to 110%. Otherwise, they'll just bump against that. So, what are your thoughts on getting the team to perform?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that you can do, like Sharran said, if you take just the smooth sales process, like everything has a process, right? Like what you do, and sometimes we don't know it because a lot of us will say exactly like you said, oh, I just talked to them, or I always give them the sign, or whatever it is. So if you really sit down and take some time and think about, and he's kind of pointing this all out, what's the knowledge? Like what would someone have to know in order to be one of you two on the appointment, right? Second one is like what attitudes and beliefs do they have to have? Because every time you walk in, there's something that you believe about it or you have a certain attitude. And that's something that is important because our teammates don't have that. Next one is skills, just like Sharran said, is like what skills do they need to have? I mean, it's as simple as like systems, tools, scripts, like everything. And then last one's habits, right? Because there's habits that you guys do that they don't. So if you just start that simple framework and you write that down, it really gets into just transferring your skills to your team. Exactly, like
Spot
you
on.
said.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing like you can do is just like Sharran said is it's 98% is what you have to pass on to your next person to have the output of like 70. And
Yeah.
if you actually go from 100 and you give 90, so I give Lana 90% of what I know, do you know what the next person is? 43% is what's going out the door, just like you said. So it's so important to like take the time as leaders and what makes us successful and break it down and so we can pass it on.
Super good. There's a great quote. It's by a guy named Jim Quick, I think. I love attributing because I think it's super powerful. When you teach something, you get to learn it twice.
Yeah.
And like every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. Like when you built your course, I think you are a better entrepreneur. From pre-course to post-course, you are better. Yeah. And because you had to like stop, organize your ideas, figure out the framework, and teach it. That's why like when I'm talking to an author, someone who I go on someone's podcast who has written a book, they're not any better. They just have their thoughts organized, right? I'm not any better. I just have spent a lot of time organizing the thinking. That way, if you saw this and you just took a picture of this and we were not together today, you'd be like, that. Right? But the power of this is unpacking this with you, right? So when I unpack a model with you, the what, it's called the what frame, the what actually like embeds, you will never forget this, right? And while there's some reds, yellows, and greens, I'm going to guarantee that none of you have anxiety because you're like, hey, I'm doing all right. I just need to do some upgrades.
Yeah.
If I just machine gunned ideas at you, you'd be like, well, that was too much. No, I'm dead serious, right? That's why the framework is ultra important, right? I'll give you one thing, and then we'll do the calendar close, and I'll give you your feedback. So if you want to present anything, right? If you want to present anything, Ashley and Christine and Hannah have seen this. There's something called format. Format was built by a Beth, are you familiar with this? Was built by a kindergarten teacher. Okay, so if they can teach kindergarten, we can all learn from it. Anything that you present has to have these. They call it 4 frames. So when you're making videos, if you want to upgrade your videos, you see a well-made video, it will have these frames. Here's what they are. And it starts here, and it goes in this direction. There's a why frame, a what frame, a how frame, and a now frame. Okay? The why frame allows, essentially a big part of the why frame is to say, hey, why is this important? And why is this important right now? So I'll give you an example. Hey, how did I start today? I was like, how many of you are behind the market, with the market, ahead of the market? Right? Essentially, I was like, we knew why we were here. I gave you context of why is this important right now. And then I said, it's important right now because this market's going to continue for a while, and I want you to dislocate the market from your performance. You're like, okay, you knew where this was going. If I didn't say that and I said, like, let me give you some ideas, you're like, there's no why around it, right? Now I said, okay, now that I've given you the why is this important right now, let me give you the what. The what is, hey, there's 3 things that are important in this world. It's traffic, systems, and skills. And you're like, okay, that's it. So I gave you the what. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking all the complexity and wrapping it into something, a construct that you're like, I can understand this. There is actually 3 plus 9. There's like 12 things on that page, on this last page. If you saw this, you're like, that's way too complex, right? So now I've actually given you a construct for the complexity. That's why this is called the what frame. So I should be able to see it and get it right away. You're like, I know Sharran, where Sharran's going. The how frame is now I take each of these and I start to break it out. So I go, here are the 3 things, here are the 3 things, here are the 3 things. Now let's talk about the 3 things. So now I unpacked each of those so that starts to make more sense. So how does each of those break up? And the last part is now is like, hey, now that you know why this is important, now that you know what is important around this, now that you know how it works, let me tell you what to do next, right? Here's what happens next, right? To reduce anxiety. And so that way you're like, when you leave, you're like, okay, that was actually well worth it because I'm going to take those 2, 3 things and do something right away. Now the now frame is generally, they call it it's called the prescription. Hey, I'm a doctor, I've diagnosed, I've done all of this, here's my prescription, go take this pill. Go do this thing. Go stretch your leg, whatever, right? But it's very specific, and it doesn't get in the complexity of everything else. The reason I'm sharing this with you is this is how in some way, your listening appointment should be. Here's what we do in a listening appointment. I'm not joking. Just tell me this is what happens. I've been on 247 listening appointments. I am not licensed. Okay? In 22 different markets, over $1 billion in listings taken, 97% success rate. It's not a brag. I just know all the stuff that does not work. How many of you have been on an appointment with somebody else in a living room? How many of you have been on an appointment with someone else that you did not have economic benefit with in a living room? Right? Meaning you didn't, in a different market. So I went on with 100 different agents. I will tell you, on average, they all suck. Let me tell you why. Because no one has seen what you do in a living room. So no one has been able to give you any feedback. Here are the 4, Kenny and I talked about this in Scottsdale. Here's what happens the first 4 minutes of the listening one. Tell me if this sounds right. You walk in the door, you're like, hi, thank you so much for having us. Can I take my shoes off? Can I take my shoes off? You're like, great, where can I put my stuff? Oh, thank you so much for being, oh my God, I love your house. That door, I love it so much. Would you like a tour? Oh yeah, that would be great. Can I just, and you put your bag down and your book's down, your book falls over, you put it down, you're like, is it okay right here? It's okay, great. And then you follow them on the tour, right? And here's how rapport is built. You are looking at the back of their head as they're walking, right? And then they don't want to show you their closet or their laundry room because stuff is in there and it freaks them out. right? And as they're walking, they can't build rapport, so they're like, so our neighbor's house sold for this. Now they're asking you pricing, and you have no rapport, right? They're asking you pricing, and what can you say? You can't say anything because you're staring at the back of their half-bald head, right? And you're still going, and then now they're turning around, and you don't know like what to say. You don't know whether they're an analytical or a driver. You're still walking. Now they're going up the stairs. You're holding, make sure that they don't slip, like, and then you sit down, and you grab your stuff. You're like, I don't even know where to sit down next. And you don't even know what to talk about because now you think the only thing you have to talk about are the 4 questions that they asked you on the tour. Do not lie. Has this happened to you?
Yeah.
So, hold that thought for a second, and I will tell you what happened. My personal trainer, or coach told me, Justin told me, that most entrepreneurs, most male entrepreneurs, get a heart attack on Monday mornings. And I was like, well, that sucks. He goes, no, you're missing the point. And I said, why? He's like, just take Monday mornings off. And I was like, wait, what? That sounds great. I'm like, well, I take Fridays off. He's like, well, that doesn't work. Like, you're a statistic now. And I thought, so it made me think, and I go, well, if that's the case, why don't we just not do the tour? So don't do the tour first. But it's going to make you ultra uncomfortable. How many of you do the tour first? Don't lie. Right? I will tell you, your appointment conversion rate will go through the roof if you don't do the tour first. But then it's weird, because when you walk in, what do you say? May I give you what to say? You walk in, you're like, hi Ashley, so great to be here. Don't say I love your house, because when an attorney walks in, do they say, oh, no, they don't, I love your company? No, they don't. Right? They're your advisor. We want to be a CPA, an advisor, an attorney, but we act like we're a door-to-door salesman. So we want to